Welcome to Action Island, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Maria Marino, joined by the NBA crew of Sean Little, Matt Moore, and Grant Neefer. Oh, I don't want to forget the, what is it, the Action Flamingo there with Matt?
Yes, it is Action Flamingo, and you forgetting his name makes him judge you.
I'm used to it. I know I have another form of judgment coming my way throughout the show with the Flamingo on board. But look, we have a couple of great games tonight. Specifically, we're going to focus on Timberwolves Nuggets game 2. And the way this works is we go around the island with a pair of best bets from each of the guys. And then the Island Council, including the Flamingo, will vote on their favorite picks to include in a same game parlay. So excited for tonight. Before we get everyone's best bets, though, I want to go to you, Matt Moore, our Action Network senior writer, because I just feel like it's kind of a big deal that Minnesota won in Denver, game 1, Nuggets trailing in a series for the first time in 2 years. Everything Anthony Edwards did. What did this win on Saturday tell you about the T-Wolves?
I mean, it tells you that they're ravenous, right? Like, they are hungry. They are not willing to just go in there. They're not just happy to be here. They took it to the Suns in all 4 games. They have not lost a playoff game yet. Denver has been so stout at home. They've been so good in the Jokic-Murray era, and yet Anthony Edwards was the best player on the floor in game 1. The Nuggets do not have an option for him. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope doesn't have the strength. Aaron Gordon doesn't have the foot speed. Christian Brown can't handle him going over picks. Peyton Watson's too small. Justin Holiday had some good moments, but will probably struggle. I don't know who else. Carmelo Anthony can't guard him. Chauncey Billups. There's nobody in Nuggets history that can slow down Anthony Edwards. He's going to have a huge series, and you kind of know that from how Michael Malone talked about this week since game 1. He's basically said, yeah, no, Ant's going to be a problem, but we have to make sure that nobody else is able to get loose. He's pretty much going to concede that Anthony Edwards is going to have huge games in every game in this series. Should be interesting to see how that goes in the betting markets as well.
Yes, 43 points in game 1. Super fun to watch. All right, we're going to get into this more further, but I do want to remind everyone that Action Island is presented by FanDuel. Sign up at FanDuel Sportsbook today and get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you bet $5. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. New users in North Carolina will receive $200 in bonus bets. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, with that, let's get into our best bets for T-Wolves Nuggets game 2. And Sean Little, we're going to start with you.
All right, I'm going to go Nuggets first half full game minus 150 at FanDuel Sportsbook. All right, Matt Moore, look, is Ant Edwards, Michael Jordan, or Kobe Bryant? I'll hang up and listen. Those are the only 2 options we have because, yes, the man has arrived. He's going to score 50 points a night. I get it, but I'm finding any way, shape, or form I could get on the Nuggets here. Minus 6.5 is starting to push it, but early start, and I think they finish here full game. That's why I'm looking at, first half full game here for the Nuggets. I wanted to lay 5.5. I was comfortable with. I believe 6.5 is starting to push it, but I do still like it. I think they bounce back and have a huge game. Nuggets 1-5 straight up in the first half in the 6 games of the playoffs. But we saw what happened with them against the Lakers and how they handled that series. But they did win the first half in game 1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves with 0 points from Jamal Murray. I think they bounce back and continue to roll, not continue to roll, but get on track here in this series. There's no way I'm going to believe all this hype. I understand what Mike Malone said, and Anthony Edwards is now unstoppable and is the best player anyone's ever seen. I think we get a reminder on the Denver Nuggets today in game 2.
All right, I want to get your second bet in just a second, but I also have to say, like, I'm getting MJ Kobe vibes. I'm just saying, like, I watched the way this man moves, his swag. Oh my goodness. I'm curious if he's going to keep it up in game 2. I don't know about all that, but Reggie Miller talked about it on the broadcast, like best 2-way player in the league right now, making a strong argument. That being said, what is your second best bet, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, essentially everyone in the world should be on Ant-Man's over prop. This is another 35-point easy game for him coming down the stretch, right? Like, that's free money on the board. Go ahead and check that prop out. All right, my bet number 2. Christian Brown over 44.5 points, not 40.5 points. Ant-Man has my brain in mush. But Christian Brown over 4.5 points, minus 110. He's gone over this number in 3 of 6 playoff games. I believe he's the answer to these guys in transition off the bench. The way they beat the Nuggets is getting out and running. If you try to get in the half court against these guys, it's going to be a real problem. Michael Malone laid it out. And I quote Mike Malone, if we don't score in transition in this series, it's going to be a really long series. They're too good defensively. That is absolutely the correct way to think about this. They have to get out and run, and I think Christian Brown is that key off the bench. He shows flashes all the time. I think that's where that's his best strength offensively. I think he comes out and gets it done. Nuggets outscored the Wolves on points off turnovers 26-18. Christian Brown could be an impact player in this game. I think he does go over this 4.5 point number.
Sounds good. Well, that means it's time for the Island Council to make our first vote of the show. So let's do it. All right, put them up. Got it. All right. So let me go to Grant here. The result is a 2-1 advantage here for Christian Braun over Braun. So Grant, you voted that way. Why did you like the over on his points prop?
I mean, in the first game, we already talked about how no one's really able to stop Anthony Edwards, and barely anyone's able to slow him down a little bit. Brown got the most minutes he's had so far in the playoffs. In the last game, playing 19. They made some adjustments, and he's probably going to be in for 20, maybe more minutes, I think, in this one. He's going to be contributing while he's in there, but he's kind of the best guy to stop or try and stop, definitely not stop, Anthony Edwards in this game. So I think just the increase in minutes, I already bet this before we got here. I just think the line's too low, considering that he should see enough of an increase in minutes to actually get a lot more usage in this game. It's just what they need from him on the defensive end is going to be enough to get him in the game for long enough to get there.
Yeah, this is a reasonable number. And I feel like you brought it up in terms of this team needs to get faster. This team needs more athleticism, just needs more energy, I think, after the way that they played in game 1. So I could absolutely see this happening. However, I did vote for the Nuggets first half full game winning result. And I think a lot of the points that you laid out, Sean, ring true. But that brings me to Matt Moore, your best bets, because you are also on the side of the Nuggets. So why don't you lay them out for us?
Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna find a way to get on the Nuggets here. Like, we're gonna some way, somehow, we're gonna be betting on Denver here. Look, my first best bet's Nuggets minus 6.5. It may go to 7.5 if Rudy Gobert is ruled out. He's questionable. Congratulations to Rudy. Sounds like he's going to have a kiddo, and that's very exciting. He might fly back for Denver for this game, might not. Either way, Rudy plays, Rudy doesn't play. I'm going to lay the points with the Nuggets here. Look, top 2 seeds at home after losing game 1 since 2003. 48-11 straight up. 37-21 against the spread. Since 2019, so last 5 years, 14-3 straight up and ATS. So we've got a massive trend here pointing in Denver's direction. The repeating champs are really going to go down 0-2. 0-2? I know that they haven't played well these playoffs, but the Nuggets with their starting lineup, and yes, Jamal Murray's banged up, but they are 16-2, 12-6 ATS the last 2 seasons, including the playoffs at home after a loss. They bounce back. They will find a way to get this job done. Plus, there's always a tendency with teams in the Wolves spot to be like, okay, we got the split. And look, again, this Wolves team is hungry, and they could potentially basically end the series if they win this game tonight, because I don't know how Denver wins 4 out of 5 from them. But I think there's a very good chance that Denver rolls in this game. More effort, more execution, a bigger Joker game. They'll find enough adjustments to force this into a spot where they can cover. I expect them to handle business tonight, even the series. I'll lay the 6.5 points with the Nuggets.
A compelling case. I mean, you're talking about the defending champs here. Everything you said, coming off a loss, how they perform at home. Totally get it. What else you got?
All right, I see Nikola Jokic 2+ 3-pointers made at +115. We get +115 here. He shot 9 in game 1, but 3 of them were basically heaves. One of them was what's called a 9-1-1 or a grenade at the end of the shot clock. 2 others were basically heaves. But that 6 that he shot, that's going to remain pretty steady here. Minnesota's going to dare Joker to make those shots because they want to pack the paint and not allow any of those open cuts or the easy stuff or the lobs to Gordon. Joker knows that he has to hit those in order to force rim protection out. If he hits 3 threes, Karl-Anthony Towns is going to make a probably pretty lazy and undisciplined closeout. Joker can either draw a foul or pump fake and get past him, and then he's got 4 on 3. So that's like a very big advantage for Joker in those kind of spots. He's hit this in 6 of the last 8 versus Minnesota, going over 2+ 3-pointers. So this to me is a great spot to go ahead and get this. He will continue to shoot these shots, and Joker's 3-pointer has not been good in the playoffs thus far, but he's going to get wide open looks. The looks were really good out of pick and pop situations in game 1. So my second pick is Nikola Jokic 2+ 3-pointers at +115.
Couple of solid options. Time to take a vote. Let's do it, guys. Show it.
Let's go. Nugs.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Look, I have to be honest. I voted for Jokic here just because I think that's a fun spot, and I just wanted to be a little different. But I'm definitely with the rest of you all that I like the Nuggets against the spread here. But Sean, my question to you, you already laid out, Nuggets is the side here. You like first half, you like full game. Against the spread, though, and also taking into account this whole Rudy Gobert thing, I mean, I guess my question is, if Rudy Gobert doesn't play, like, are the T-Wolves, like, does that really, really mess up their flow?
Yeah, no, I'll help you out, Maria. They're toast either way.
Okay,
The Denver
okay.
Nuggets are not losing this game, and I believe they're covering the number. 6.5 is starting to push it. I think if Gobert doesn't go, it does touch 7. I also think if we're coming down to the Action Island voting piece of it, in my opinion, Jokic doesn't want to shoot any threes, right? So, like, if things are going well and everything is, and they're playing offense how they want to play, and they're covering the number and things are going great, I don't believe Jokic will get to that 6 mark like Matt laid out. I think the volume will be a lot less. So I like -6.5 over Jokic knocking down 2 threes. He very well may hit 2, but I just think the Denver Nuggets are going to take care of business in game 2 and remind everyone that Anthony Edwards is not Clyde Frazier.
Here we go. How many can we I don't know, we're on an island. Can we get like a margarita every time that you like sarcastically diss Anthony Edwards?
Look, that's the thing. I'm a huge Anthony Edwards guy. Like, I love what he's doing.
I know.
But like, I think we need to tone it down a little bit. There's questions being asked. The only option to compare him to was either Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. That's where we're at right now with Ant-Man. Like, let's pipe down a little bit. He scored 44. I don't expect him to score 44 here in game 2.
Sean, there's no haters on the island, buddy. What are you doing?
Hey,
Flamingo judges you. You're hating right now.
No, to be clear, like, I know the respect is there. I know what you're saying. You're just saying, like, cool it down a little bit. Like, hold on a second. And I think that's perfectly fair. We're on the island. We need some AC. Before we move on, though, Grant, I did want to get your opinion, because was this more just loving the Nuggets here no matter what, or was there something about the Jokic 2+ 3s that you were like,
It's a little bit of both. I mean, before the show, like last night and again today, I bet them to win the series. They're getting it plus money right now. And I just thought that's absolutely ridiculous. Everyone's overreacting to one good game 1. Like, the Nuggets didn't shoot great. Timberwolves shot great. They had to make some adjustments at half that changed things a lot. It's just a spot where the Nuggets are definitely the better team. And everyone's just looking at these Timberwolves, what they did against the Suns, what they did in game 1, and just everyone's super high on them. Everyone's super high on Anthony Edwards. It's just, you're not going to get much more of a higher public perception of a team than the Timberwolves have at this moment. And they are just overestimating them compared to the Nuggets. It's just a much better team over in Denver. And playing over in Denver is a huge advantage fact that Rudy Gobert may not be there, I don't know if that even changes too much. I still think the Nuggets will cover this line, and I think you can take the alt spreads all the way up to 9.5. But Jokic, he didn't do great on the outside in the last game. I think he plays more on the interior. If Gobert is not there, I think he definitely plays more on the interior. And that's also the big thing. The 2+ 3-pointers, I don't think is nearly as viable if Gobert isn't in there.
I think that's a
Really,
great point.
really quick, Maria, if Gobert doesn't go, I would highly suggest looking at the Nuggets team total. That seems like a 112, 113, 114 type night for the Nuggets if Gobert doesn't suit up.
I love all this added perspective. Okay, we have 2 legs of our same game parlay down. Now, Grant Neefer, it is time for your best bets.
All right, the first one I'm rolling with is KCP under 8.5 points. I know it's not a terribly high line. I think the odds are currently at -118 on the under over at FanDuel. I got it -115 a little bit ago, but still like it all the way up to about 125. KCP during the playoffs, volume has been hit or miss pretty much every single game. He's hit the under in 4 out of the 6 games so far in the playoffs. He's not a guy that is going to get a ton of volume in this spot, and I'm kind of worried about his minutes a little bit. Like Sean said, Brown is going to be in more of the game. KCP can't really keep up with Anthony Edwards. They're going to stick him on when he's in the game generally, but I think his minutes take a little bit of a dive just because they have to switch things up after game 1. The minutes aren't going to be there as much. The volume's not going to be there. Minnesota's great at protecting both the inside and the perimeter. They're just a great defensive team overall. Not a huge total. Like the Lakers series was a lot more up pace. I'm expecting a lot less production out of KCP during this series, and this number is just a bit too high for me.
Yep, he's been inconsistent for sure. What else do you like?
The other one I'm rolling with, and I actually bet this before the Gobert news, it hasn't moved a ton. It's Jokic over 12.5 rebounds. I liked it before before the Gobert news, and if he doesn't end up playing, this line's way too low. I know that Jokic hasn't done great going up against the Timberwolves in terms of rebounds. Hit the under 3 out of 4 games so far this season going up against them. But this number is too low. I mean, the guy averaged 16.2 rebounds in the last series. This is right around his season average, and he's going to be playing 40+ minutes at the spot. I think he's going to be inside more. Like I said, he wasn't doing great on the outside in the last game, and I think that he's going to be trying to get those points inside a lot more. He's going to be down there. The board should get a giant uptick, and he's just too good of a player. He's probably going to be fighting a whole lot more after losing game 1. So this number, I have him projected for over a full rebound over this number. So even getting it at -122 when I got it at -111, I'd still take the over. And if Gobert ends up missing, I think this line moves to 13.5 easily.
It's a great look and 2 great options yet again. Let us make a vote now for that all-important leg number 3 of the same game parlay. All right, show it. Hold on, what's the phone say? Board man gets paid. Love it.
Board man gets paid.
Okay, all right. So therefore, the third leg is going to be Jokic over 12.5 rebounds. And, you know, it's funny because when you look at a line like that, you think it sounds absurd, but Jokic is absurd. And also, I'm kind of all for betting him in any way after that game 1. I just think he's going to want to come in and make a statement and just have his fingerprints all over this game. That being said, Matt, you did go the other way. Just curious, quick thought on why you like the KCP under.
Yeah, I love the KCP under. I do think he's going to play fewer minutes in the series. There's real talk about whether or not he should even close in the series, whether they should go with Christian Brown. There's problems that come up with that in terms of offensive spacing, but KCP's not hitting threes right now, and that's a real issue for them. KCP's also on a bad ankle. He's really banged up right now, and so I think this may not be his series, and then he winds up playing a little bit less. I think also the Wolves are not going to sag off of him. They're going to help off of other positions, specifically Aaron Gordon, for their help defense. So I actually really like the KCP spot under here. The other thing I would say with Jokic is I do think it's kind of dependent on Gobert. Like the line goes up if Gobert doesn't play, but he probably still goes over. And then if he does play, a lot of it is that Gobert's not letting him get the little tip backs. Like he gets a lot of rebounds that are like the Moses Malones, the miss, rebound, putback. He doesn't get as many of those versus Minnesota. So look, I know it's a low line. I get it. but this Minnesota team is built differently. They are bigger. Like nobody plays a lineup this big all the time. They always have either Cat or Naz Reid on the floor. Plus, they have the athleticism of Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards. So I definitely prefer the KCP pick here. But hey, the council says Jokic over rebound. So hopefully Boardman gets paid.
Hopefully. The council has spoken. Let's go ahead and recap the 3 legs of our same game parlay. All right, so once again, we got Christian Braun over his points prop. We also have the Nuggets against the spread and Nikola Jokic to go over on his rebounding prop. And we're looking at odds on FanDuel of about plus 413. Now, before we go, I want to give a little bonus bet. And so if for some reason we didn't convince you to bet the Nuggets minus 6.5, I do have an alternative. I really like Denver minus 2.5 in the first quarter. So Denver against the spread in the first quarter. They're the best team in the league against the spread in quarter number 1 at home. Big key here. We've already talked about the massive home court advantage that the Nuggets have. Also, this kind of goes into what Sean was playing earlier. How did Denver win the first quarter last game? They got off to a start where they were trailing 18-4, still managed to win the first quarter. And a big part of that whole first quarter like game script, I mean, you had Anthony Edwards, 13 points in the first quarter, Jamal Murray scoreless. I know there are other variables here, but certainly I don't see either of those 2 things happening again. So I just feel like for a classic bounce back spot, you're going to want to see Denver come out aggressive. Like I said, make a statement and just impose their will a little bit and remind everybody that Anthony Edwards isn't Kobe or MJ and that, you know, this is their house. So definitely like Denver against the spread, like I said, in the first quarter.
2 things there on that,
Yeah.
Maria. It's a great spot. One, if you like the Nuggets, you better this is a better hit. If the Nuggets trail after the first quarter, they're in real trouble. Minnesota is the best third quarter team in the league. They get better as the game goes on. They're great in the second. They're elite in the third. If Denver's going to win this game, they have to get off to a good start. They haven't yet. Like we have not seen them start a game off well in the playoffs. So all of this game script, all of the belief in Denver really does come down to Nuggets in that first quarter. So it's imperative that they win this. That said, they are, like you said, they are one of the best teams in the league in that first quarter. They should win the starter minutes tonight, especially if Gobert doesn't play. So yeah, gotta love Nuggets first quarter here.
And I just think you got to set the tone and put this team, you know, cool them down early. Because if they get that confidence rolling once again, you're talking about the same story as game 1. Furthermore, I just see Michael Malone, you know, there's going to be adjustments made. And there's just no way that they're going to get off to as hot a start Minnesota as we saw in game 1. All right, guys, this has been Action Island presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's always fun to hang with you guys on the island. Flamingo too. Make sure you tell him goodbye. But for Sean Little, Matt Moore, and Grant Neefer, I'm Maria Marino. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the games tonight.